The thing is, nobody cares about your brand or you or what you stand for or what your mission is or whatever all that bullshit is. Like, it does not really matter, and nobody gives a damn. The thing is that most people, they keep scrolling on Instagram and or YouTube Shorts or whatever fuck people scroll on, right? And they see some random ass guy, right, trying to showing off how he's documenting that he's building a brand or the fuck, right? And this happens in international as well. It happens in India. It happens everywhere, right? So the thing is that if you have never built or sold anything online, right? If you go after building a brand, it's like burning money, and your brand is this clown right here. Okay. So, these are some bold statements to make, but I have all this stuff that I wanna, go through and prove my like thesis there, if you can call it that. Right? So the thing is that when you go after building a brand in the beginning, okay, like I talked to a very nice guy yesterday. He's really sweet, but he was asking me that he wanted to build a brand, and that's why he wanted to join my mentorship, and he's never really done any form of selling or anything like that. And his goal was to build a exitable, sellable brand, and I was a bit surprised that why is that. And so I talked to him, and he's like that people think that building a brand nowadays, it's like the way out of their 9 to 5, or it's the path to freedom. All right, so let me give you a bit of a reality check, and let me try to give you a perspective. All right, the thing is that it's not 2001, and it's not 1997, and it's not 1960s, or it's not 2009. All right, it's not these years that there are certain booms everywhere. Certain booms in different industries, or whatever the hell. Yeah, there is an AI boom going on, but I'll make a separate video on this, like AI thing. Right? There's a different boom. It's also a bubble, right? I'll make a video on this later on, but for now let's just focus on this, right? So yeah, the thing is that when you go after, the problem is not that you're trying to build up, like, you have to understand the fact that nobody knows you, and nobody cares about you. This is a fact, all right? Some people might get pissed off, but this is a fact of life, right? Nobody does. All right? So if you really want to get out of the rat race, what you want to call it, right? You should not go after this thing. And even after that, if you go after building a brand with the end goal of selling it, you will not be able to do that. Yeah, because I think you can count in single digit or double digit numbers maximum how many brands got sold. And the problem with this mindset of building something to sell, now okay, obviously this is a bit of a subjective thing, and I'm trying to bring out my point here with all these arguments, right? But or you can disagree to me, it's not really a problem. But the thing is that when you go after this end goal of trying to sell something or trying to exit something, etc., 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 you have this thing that you are trying to do whatever it takes, do something, right? And suffer for the end goal. Okay, do something, right? And suffer till you exit. Now obviously I'm not saying suffer as in little suffering. No, obviously people don't really have to suffer, but it just brings this thing that once you have done it, then you have accomplished your goal, and now you just you do whatever the fuck you want. And it's like a weird concept. I feel like it's like a level above sophisticated of the middle class stream, whatever that. So the thing is that most brands that you idolize in India, these are the numbers of those. Byju's, I mean, everyone knows, got closed, all these things, right? All of them are incredible losses. So, right? Yeah. Legislation loss, this is also in loss. Sugar Cosmetics loss. Boat is just about profit before its IPO, because obviously they have to show something. This is, again, they pumped up the money here to show some profit before their IPO. Same. Alright. So, and these brands are doing so much of revenue, and that's why they come and do a bit of profit. So the thing is, you have to ask yourself, what do you want to do? Do you want to build a brand which does thousands of crores in revenue, which is obviously difficult, and it will take your entire life, and it's not everyone's cup of tea, to be really honest as well, and it's not really worth it as well, because imagine doing 5,000 crore revenue, 4,000 crore revenue, and just making this much of profit. What the fuck? All right, so it does not make sense. To me, at least. I don't know how people think, but yeah, to me, it does not make sense. So, my point being that the problem in India is that people have glorified valuation here. Alright? So, the concept of building a brand in India is to build something that has valuation, right? Valuation. Oh, I don't know what I'm writing, right? And then so that you don't really focus on the profit or whatever fuck, right? And you hide behind terms like EBITDA, like this thing, right? This term, yeah, this term right here. Let me show you what one of the most genius minds of all time said. Every time you see the word EBITDA, you should substitute the word bullshit earnings. This is not my quote, this is said by Charlie Munger. If you don't know it, please search for it. It's one of the geniuses of investing, and yeah, whatever. So the reason why I brought up is just an example, like, because this is like the most commonly thrown out term. Okay. So what this term exactly means is it's earnings of a company before its interest that it owes to the bank, its taxes, its depreciation of its assets, and amortization. So it's basically a profit before you subtract a bunch of real costs, you take your earnings and then add back the interest that you owe to the bank, and all these things that wear out obviously over time. And if you are owning a factory, or if you have any things like real expenses that you have, you just subtract that from your actual cost, which are like your actual cost, and then show a profit. So and the worst part of it all is that if you're not profitable before taxes, it's not that you're going to be profitable after taxes. It's just that you have not done your numbers right? And this is just a way to make a money losing business look healthy. And people do this so that they can have higher valuations and they can profit off without really building a decent business. And this is the entire problem with the startup ecosystem, whatever the hell you want to call it here. People go after valuation, they don't really go after profit. Okay? And the problem with you who's watching this video, who has idolized these brands and these people who show you how they're building certain brands or whatever the fuck, right, on Instagram reels. The problem is that they don't show you the reality that the brands are in loss. Okay? And they're actually broke. So firstly, what you should do is you should stop listening to. I mean, I'm not saying you should listen to me. You can obviously not listen to me. It's your choice, whoever you want to listen to. But my point being is that the numbers don't lie, right? Well, what is the goal? Is it to build is it to build personal wealth? Is it to build why would you want to build, let's say, 1,000 crore company which does 100 crore in loss, when you can just build a company that does maybe just 20-30 crore in revenue, and it brings you 5 crores 6 crores in yearly profit? Like, that's a lot better business, even in terms of the economy of the country, and even for you personally, because it's actually not diminishing the money of the economy. Whereas a business which is bringing in 1,000 crores revenue and doing 100 crores is just magically wiping off 100 crores off the market. You get my point, right? So yeah, that's the thing. It's like, if you go after building a brand, okay, you will just be in loss. Your brand will be this clown and you'll be burning money. Okay? And the thing is that you gotta learn the foundations, and it's building a brand is not like a get rich quick thing or whatever the fuck people have made it to be nowadays. It takes a lot of time to build something that you can sell, or and it takes a decent bit of money investing and funding, right? And only few of the brands ever get sold. Okay? So the point of this video for you, the reason I made it, so that I could give you perspective as to building a brand should not be your goal if you really want to make money and build wealth for yourself and get out of the 9-to-5 thing. Your goal should be to build something that makes you money, solves a customer's problem, and profits in between. Okay? And people have misconceptualized that thing to be a brand. It's not true. Okay? A branded packaging, a bit of branded ads, and a bit of anything does not make a brand. It takes years and years to build a brand that actually you can call a brand. So this is the most abused word in the 126th. Yeah, everybody wants to build a brand, but no one knows what's a brand. Okay? So do I want to build a brand? No, because I want to build personal wealth. And the thing is that building a brand takes a lot of time, and you will not really have any personal wealth until a very, very later time in life, and that's also not guaranteed. Okay? So this is like giving the JEE or NEET exam, aiming to go to AIMS Delhi or IIT Bombay. Like, your chances are very, very like 0.0001%. Okay? So why would you want to play in a race where you have got hundreds and thousands of people? Because the thing is, everybody wants to build a brand nowadays. Or, it's wide level of the same thing, whatever the fuck, and it's just in this weird ass bubble. It's a bit difficult to articulate this, but yeah, it's just in this weird ass bubble. Everybody is throwing around this complicated terms like this, which, to be honest, is bullshit, right? I didn't say this shit by Charlie Munger, right? So yeah, right. So then you might ask, then what should we exactly do? Okay, if not building a brand, then what you should do is you should think a bit and you should learn some skills and have a good heart and actually solve people's problems. It's this simple. You don't have to build a brand to make. Why the fuck is this blue? Black. Yeah. You don't have to build a brand to make a lot of money. Okay. You have to do this. Learn some skills, have a good heart, and actually solve people's problems. These three things is all that you need. It's literally this simple. Alright, so you might ask, how do I do this? You've got Claude, you have got, I assume you have a heart if you're a living human being, right? So, yeah. Okay, that was a bad one. And actually care about solving people's problems. Okay. Now, I'm not saying people who build a brand, they don't think about solving people's problems. Lekin there is a catch here. Okay. The people who aspire to build a brand, okay, yeah, generally जो इसका process होता है, they set out and they obsess over the wrong things. Like, I have a very good friend of mine and he was telling me that I cannot name them obviously, but he's from there, and apparently people who graduate from there, they don't really have to put a lot of effort in investing. Okay? So it's a cycle, and let me explain to you this hideous cycle that goes on. So what actually happens is that this guy is from, like, let's say from some top college or whatever. He graduates, right, and he sees a reel or a podcast or a random ass something which or Shark Tank India, right, gets motivated, wants to build his own brand now, okay, and he wants investment because he's from a top college. He gets that investment, okay, and he gets that investment, right? He gets investment. And this is where the problem lies, because once he gets this investment, he has a false perception that his business has money and is competent enough to make money, which he is not, obviously. Okay? Because the money he has gotten from someone else. Okay? And then this guy proceeds to buy let's say Mercedes or Harley Davidson. I don't know what people buy, like Harley Davidson, and and coffee machine in company office, and company office in PKC or some expensive area in Tier 1 city. Okay. So this is kind of the cycle here. Okay. So the person graduates, okay, and by the way, I'm not making this up. Okay, man, I have observed this thing, and then I also got proof of this by a friend of mine who's like a marketing performance marketer, and he has his own digital selling things which he sells international markets and even in India. So he told me this, that a company wanted to hire him, and this is the story of that company. So this founder of that company ka story hai basically, and I have seen this personally. I've observed this, and it also happened physically. So yeah. So the thing is, what happens is that this has a false perception. Once he gets the investment, he has a false perception that his business has enough money and is competent enough to make money, which isn't, because his business hasn't made money. Then he proceeds to buy a Mercedes, Harley Davidson, whatever the fuck, right? He proceeds to live the so-called middle class dream. Yeah, he proceeds to live the middle class dream. Okay. And then what he does is that he goes and makes a reel again. Okay. Because now the thing is that if you actually have done something, this is a psychological fact, by the way. If you have gotten something which you haven't earned yet, or aren't competent enough to get it, you have a inferiority complex. Okay. And because of this, what happens is that in order to fill this void of inferiority complex, okay, they go ahead and start making reels or content or the fuck, right? And then what they do basically is that they kind of repeat the cycle with other guys. Okay, but other people get inspired to do the same thing basically, right? So because he has these things, he has gotten these things, but he knows that his business is not really making money because there is a moral compass. We all have a moral compass, and this guy deep down he knows that his business is not making money, etc., etc. And that is why, to fill that past insecure self of his, he proceeds to buy Mercedes, Harley Davidson, coffee machine in the company, expensive office in Bandra Kurla complex or whatever the fuck, some other areas, right? Which is not really needed, as you know. So, and he proceeds to make reels on that. So you see how the cycle works. And then the random ass 17-year-old preparing for JEE, 17-year-old. 17-year-old sees this and gets excited to go to that same college. What I'm trying to explain here is like a very deep rot in the system. So I don't know if some people might not get this, some people might get pissed off at me. It's okay, I don't mind it, but I'm trying to provide some value here. The thing that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you a perspective shift so that you can think for yourself and stop making a decision based on some random aspects. So the thing is that uske baad kya hota hai that a 17-year-old sees this and wants to go to the same college, and then for some reason this college is where there's this prestige tag, right? And what happens then is that this guy doesn't really know business, doesn't know shit, because all his life he's learning in useless bullshit things that he has no idea about. But he got investment, and now here's the point: he has to somehow give that investor a return. Okay, so you see the cycle here. Now this person has to give that investor a return, so he cannot, and he doesn't have skills, so this is not there, and he cannot care about solving people's problems because he has to give investor a return and he has to compromise on things, and because he has this insane pressure now, because he has to obviously give that investor a return, and the investor will force him to get a next round. He cannot have a good heart. Okay. So what happens is that he starts cooking up these weird ass metrics, to show the next round of investors that the company is actually making money when it's not. It's a loss. Because the guy is simply not competent enough to run the company. And then this cycle of drudgery just repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats until the bubble is burst. In the likes of Byju's and Vedantu and Paytm and whatever the fuck other companies, right? So that's the thing. Or अगर ऐसा नहीं होता है that if the cycle just goes on and on and on, and if the founder, let's say, gets popular for some reasons, and there is some chance that the company is able to do an IPO, then what happens is that turns out like Lenskart or something like that, where just a year or two before IPO they start showing profits, and the company magically turns profitable 1 or 2 years before, and the IPO goes public at a very, very inflated rate, like what happened with Paytm a while back. And when the IPO hits, it's like very highly inflated, but the reality catches up, and after a while the company just bursts. This is why most of the India might be the place where you see a lot of startups happening, but then the fact is that most of 90% I think of them are in loss and just close because of this drudgery of thing. So yeah, it's quite a sad state, and people don't realize this. And which is a problem. They just want to skip steps. This is like, it's literally this simple. If you do these things, you will make money. Your business will make money. But if you don't, then this is what happens. And this is what happens. It's like pretty sad, like, to be really honest, but it is what it is, and I try to give you a perspective here, right? And yeah, that's the thing. And it's a bit weird, but this is what happens. And yeah, that's the thing. That is why you should not go after building this, like, building your brand kind of like uh, building a brand while BS, because it will just not do you any good. It'll just complicate things, and this is what happens. And yeah, I guess I'm just yapping at this point. So yeah, that was the video, guys. And yeah, if you want to start your own e-commerce business, then there's a link in the description down below. You can have it, check it out, and if you're a good fit, then we'll reach out to you. And it's a one-to-one mentorship program with me, where we help you make your first few lakhs, good amount of money, depending on your base skills and your budget that you can invest in the e-commerce business, right? And the thing is that if you don't get results, we set out a goal for you before we actually start, and if you don't get those results before after the end of 3 months, then we work for free till you do. So yeah, if that interests you, you can let me know. I mean, you can fill that form, and yeah, let's see if we can work together. So yeah, that was the video, and this is kind of, I try to give you a perspective here, like why building a brand doesn't really work, and like a very deep societal rot that there is, right? So yeah, that's the thing. And yeah, if you guys liked it, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.